And joining me now on the Drive Time podcast is new Dolphins linebacker Brennan Scarlett. Brennan, first time in free agency. How's this experience been for you?
It's been great. It was a little stressful not knowing where I was going to land, but at the end of the day, super happy to be here in Miami and a part of such a historic franchise and love the direction that it's going.
I love the mention of the historic franchise. Now, speaking of your football life, you've obviously played your entire life. We've been asking your fellow teammates this question on the podcast here. What does football mean to you from the time, thinking about back to your time as a Pee Wee player to now signing your first free agent contract here with the Dolphins? What has that journey kind of meant to you?
I think football has meant a lot to me. I personally think and am appreciative of all of the lessons, as it pertains to just my life, that football has taught me, just understanding the importance of perseverance, understanding that life is going to have its ups and downs. Football is going to have its ups and downs, its wins, its losses, the times you're thriving, the times you're not on the field. But at the end of the day, you keep your head down and you keep moving, and you'll find success and you'll find happiness in the journey, which I have, and super grateful for, football to teach me those lessons.
And that football life began back in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, Oregon, right?
That's right.
I wanted to ask about that. I'm a Northwest guy myself. I'm from the Seattle area. So what was your experience like growing up in the Northwest and then kind of going down to South Florida now? Have you kind of had a big culture shock there with the weather and everything?
First off, Pacific Northwest, beautiful part of the country, beautiful part of the world. I love it there. I love Portland. I spend the majority of my off seasons there. Still got my family and friends out there. Coming out here to South Florida, first thing I noticed is it's a little warmer out here, man. That sun is shining. I was in a short sleeve button down. It was a little different out in Portland right now. You gotta layer up out there. So that was one of the first things I noticed.
I'm in the hoodie, man. I brought like 2 hoodies with me when I came down there for the season. I don't think I used any of them ever, so you'll get used to it real quick. At least you had that Houston bridge to kind of get you more acclimated after, spending all your time in the Northwest. Speaking of your time back home, I read that you were a big swimmer in high school.
Oh, you did. Oh, you did your research.
Of course I did. The reason I wanted to ask you is because you might show up thinking I'm the only guy 260 plus that can get in the pool, but we've got an offensive lineman, Solomon Kinley. His name is the Big Fish. He was a lifeguard growing up, so maybe you guys can have battle for swimming pool supremacy here in the Dolphins.
Yeah, we might need to do that. Have a little race in training camp or something. I don't know. My 50-yard freestyle was pretty good.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that. He'll definitely bring it up to you because he loves talking about it. That's awesome to hear. A little more personal stuff here with you, Brennan. I wanted to ask you about the Big Yard, your foundation. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that is and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so the Big Yard Foundation is one that I started in 2018, surrounding around community empowerment. Especially underserved and underprivileged communities, trying to give back and support them through literacy, creativity, and physical wellness. So we do a couple events every year, usually around the summertime. We'll start off with the dodgeball tournament, which my team, the Big Yard Bandits, we've yet to win a dodgeball tournament. And we do a march for Juneteenth. And then we turn around, we raise that money, and basically we'll host book fairs and have other partnerships with other local nonprofits and elementary schools just to promote literacy and get some excitement around education for the kids.
Yeah, it's a really cool project. I had a chance to read up on it a little bit here, but definitely going to have some opportunities in South Florida to get involved. We have the 5,000 role models, Football Unites, plenty of stuff to get involved around here as well as your foundation we can help support. And we'll get out to the fans as well so they can get involved in that regard. So you come over from Houston. We talk about your background here with the Big Yard and growing up in the Northwest, but you're joining 2 more teammates here from the Houston Texans with Bernardrick McKinney and Will Fuller. What can you tell us about those 2 guys and how happy you are to kind of reunite with them here in South Florida?
Oh man, two of my favorite guys. Both just great people, great teammates. They love the game of football. You couldn't ask for, or I couldn't ask for a better couple of guys to come on with me. from Houston. So B-Mac, as we call him, and Will. I call Will Jr. He tried to get me to go away from that nickname, but I call him Junior because rookie year, he was always eating Skittles for like breakfast. Like, bro, you eat like a child. So I started calling him Junior. He's moved away from his Skittle days, but the nickname is stuck.
That's how it goes. Usually the guys get to the league, they're used to their college diet, they can eat whatever they want. And then you have to learn that maybe you have to take a little bit better care of yourself at this level because there's some finely tuned athletes on the other side of the football over there. That's a great story. I want to ask you one more football question here because I found this highly fascinating, Brennan, talking about doing my background on you. First ever Cal to Stanford transfer, first ever Stanford transfer. Was that like going from Hatfields to McCoys, man?
Was that like going from what?
Like the Hatfields and McCoys, like the great rivalry, the family rivalry. Like you went from like the biggest one to like the fans on the field, Cal Stanford. Like I'm thinking that's a tough rivalry to cross the fence on.
It was tough, man. There was a lot of Golden Bears were not happy with me. The Cardinal was happy with me. It was I mean, both places. You know, Cal was a great university, great football program, and Stanford was the same. So grateful to have had that experience. I was able to transfer over and win a Rose Bowl, play with some great dudes, you know, guys I would call lifetime friends at Stanford, and also was able to play a season with my little brother, who was coming in as a freshman into Stanford. So there was a little family element to the whole thing as well.
That's really cool. I didn't know that part of the story. It makes it way better. One more question for you here. We've asked every one of your new teammates, is there, and we talked about swimming, maybe it is in the pool or in the lake, whatever it might be, but is there a hobby or a guilty pleasure? One thing we have to know as Dolphins fans about Brennan Scarlett, our new linebacker, what's one thing we have to know?
I do like to swim, but my guilty pleasure of mine is I love to thrift shop. I'd rather go buy some old school vintage Dolphins gear than some, designer stuff. I like the one of one exclusive vintage gear. So that's one of my first, after I find out where I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna start looking for those, my thrift divers.
I'm sure you can ask around and get some tips on that. We have some of the best vintage gear here with the Dolphins. I tell people all the time the reason I became a Dolphins fan as a kid was because I had one of those big starter jackets, the big bright aqua and orange. You could see me from space, man. It was awesome. Brennan Scarlett, new Dolphins linebacker. Appreciate your time today, man. I really appreciate you coming on here and taking time out of your day to do this. And we'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.